Barmy. Welcome to today's show. Today we're going to do a follow-up on Monday's community vlog, which was quite an interesting one. We're going to talk about what we think is better, Marvel film-wise, Black Widow or the Eternals. And let's see how we go with that. Now, I'm going to think you guys are going to be really unsure of this, and so am I, because this is probably going to ruffle quite a few feathers. Now, for me, Black Widow held tons of promise, tons and tons of promise, but I do feel it was released at the wrong time. It was meant to be sort of in between Endgame and all that sort of thing, and it just wasn't. It was released afterwards. It felt like a prequel to something we've already experienced, and we've moved on. It should have been before Black Widow's sacrifice. Spoiler warning, you know. But I think if it had been before that, where it probably should have been, sandwiched before that, and then we see what she got to before, and then we see what happened then, man, I do think that it would have held so much more impact. I really do. I really do think that if it had been a journey that we've all invested on, where, you know, she was still alive, we get to see what happens in between all those different things, and we have all those things. But once she's done the sacrifice in the films, you know, we've seen the journey's end for that character. I think it was just released at the wrong time. It really was. And of course, what they did to Taskmaster is unforgivable. So I can't get my words out because it's so painful. Taskmaster has to be one of the best villains or anti-heroes, depending on his mood, because that was fantastic. And what they did to it, they changed all the different things. They even depowered him. They depowered them, and I really wasn't a fan of what they did. You know, if you're going to use a really cool character from like 90s and early 2000s like Taskmaster, please get it right. The costume needed to be more accurate. Not an Iron Man, you know, motorcycle helmet rip-off. Ugh. And for me, the action sequences felt watered down. There just wasn't enough action in it. There was too much waffle. You know, funnily enough, I'm watching a Marvel action film. I don't want to watch half an hour of people chatting around the bloody, table. What were they thinking? You know, that just didn't float my boat at all and bored me stiff. So for me, the action was watered down. It was ultra violent in places, which made my son upset for no reason. It's a Marvel film. Why are we having all these weird things happening? The acting was dull. You know, it's just a cluster F of boredom. You know, and I could never get that 2 hours back. But yeah, so I personally think it was a big pile of old trodge. But I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear what you know and what you think. Was there any Easter eggs or different bits in it that I missed that would have made me think otherwise? I really want to know, because I want to watch this again with some open eyes. But for me, when I watched it, and I paid 15 quid for it on Disney Premiere, so I was expecting, you know, a bit of good stuff for my buck. And I didn't get it. I should have got a refund, to be honest. But yeah, let's move forward. When I watched Eternals, I was absolutely blown away. 2 hours and a bit of my life I enjoyed wholeheartedly, embraced it in, really loved it. There was great action, fantastic effects. There was awesome stuff, great dialogues, really interesting storyline. You know, it built up stuff that nobody else would have thought, like the Black Knight and Blade, and there was loads of cool things in there. You got a real human element to it, being in Britain, and you got like a big sort of end of the world storyline going on there, not just Black Widow having a chat round the table, having a whinge at her long lost sister. Now, there's loads of different things that I could moan about with Eternals, but I watched it for free, and it was far better. Like I was saying, people have moaned about Eternals having a complicated plot. you know what? It was actually referencing stuff from the start of Marvel comics, the start of MCU. It was putting in a lot of stuff from the comics. There was Galactus Easter eggs. There was all these different things where they had to put it in, and it made a lot of sense to me being a Marvel comic book geek. I guess the one downside to it is, if you're not a fan of the comics and you don't really know what they're all about and you just watch the films, it probably got overcomplicated. But for me, I really enjoyed it. And on the plus side, like I said, Badger Jr. didn't really like Black Widow. The boss seemed to like it, but I didn't think it was good. Me and Badger Jr. didn't like it. All three of us really loved Eternals, whereas I think we're quite split with Black Widow. And you know what I mean? So this is what I think, guys. I want to hear what you think on the Battle of the Flops. Do you think Black Widow should have won, in my eyes? Or do you think that The Eternals was a better film? You know how I feel. I really loved all the Easter eggs in The Eternals, all the fun stuff in Eternals, all the great storyline and action. And to be honest with you, I think maybe I would have changed my mind with Black Widow if it was released at a different time and probably cut slightly differently and maybe had a different taskmaster, a better storyline and more action. So basically, if they changed the film completely. Still have Scarlett Johansson in and still have the nice person who plays the sister. Everything else should have been sorted out differently. In my eyes, I know it had trouble with COVID and things like that, and I know it had a lot of trouble with all the different actors and Scarlett Johansson throwing her toys out the pram and all these different things, but they should have sorted it out. They really should have, and I really do hope at some point down the line we get a Black Widow 2 where they all go back in time, ignore the events of the first one, reboot it all, and yay, it's all sorted. Because for me, it was a big pile of poop. But I really loved Eternals. So I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's be awesome about this and hit me up and tell me why I'm wrong or why I'm right. Righty ho guys, thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to be active in the comments and let me know what you think. Thanks everyone, bye!
Mr. Slender, yes, bring me a dream.
Bum, bum, bum.
Do 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 that I've ever seen.
Bum, 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 bum.
Please, your magic dream. Mr. Slendy, bring me a dream. Bum 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 bum.